Fucking boo.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Fucking Boo Bombing Stories with Jay Hollingsworth. I am Jay Hollingsworth, and today's bombing story is coming from a gentleman that you're our first non-comedian that's going to be
really?
telling. Yes,
Okay.
which
Very
I'm
cool.
I'm happy that it's you. This is my good buddy Ed Conover, aka Eddie Jayy. What's up, Ed?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I am great. We're just sitting here. I'm in the studio, aka my green screen. Yeah. So for people that don't know, I've said that you're not a comic. I'm about to beat the shit out of my dog. Just kidding. I would never hurt Wrinkles. Get the fuck away from me. Ed is not a comedian, but you've worked in the comedy industry for how long?
Almost a decade, 9 years.
Dang. And Ed is a musician, a musical artist.
I am.
A rapper?
Indeed. Indeed.
So tell me your bombing story, Ed.
So out here in Vegas for a handful of years, we were putting on our own shows. We were Fourwalling rooms. It was kicking ass. Am I allowed to cuss on this show? It's called Fucking Boo, right? Okay.
Yeah, and it's me.
Just making sure.
What if I only cuss on stage? In my personal
What if the
life?
only thing that you were allowed to cuss on was the title of this show? Like,
Yeah.
it's, well, hey, hold on a second, man. You can't swear on here.
Yeah.
So we've been doing shows. We've been Fourwalling, and I was making good money doing these rooms.
Do you want to explain? Can you explain Fourwalling to people that don't know?
Yeah. So we were basically assuming all the liability of the venue, but we were keeping all the profits of it. So we were making a good amount of money. We were packing it out. We had a couple different rooms on Fremont Street that we were rotating through. And it was about 2 years of this. The audiences were getting bigger. Merch sales were starting to go great. Everybody was getting paid. We were just really having fun. I moved to LA and was still promoting shows here, but I was broke as shit in LA.
Yeah,
it's like 4 times the living expense of Las Vegas. And my girl had this plug through somebody that she knew that was in the medical marijuana industry that was doing these mansion parties. Oh. And it was all centered around the MMJ world, right? And I was
sorry,
like, well,
when you said mansion parties, I already oh man, I know some comics that have done something similar and it was not good, but go on. Sorry.
So the idea that we had was, I was like, let's do what we're doing with the shows that we've been promoting in Fourwalling, but we'll do it centered around these marijuana events, right? Because they have these big underground followings, and we'll get vendors to pay for space, and we'll make all this money, and we'll front all of it. It's going to be great. I'm going to pay my rent for the year. I'm going to make so much goddamn money. It's perfect. I'll come in from Vegas. Yeah, my infinite wisdom. So we rent out this venue that was is a pretty historic landmark here in town. It's called the Heartland Mansion. And had no idea that the owner was this raging cokehead former mafia affiliate guy who is absolutely out of his mind. The 3 days leading up to the event, he comes into the sound checks and he's ranting and screaming at people. It was all the signs were this is going to go poorly, but I was so broke that I was like, no, it's going to be great. We're going to make a bunch of money. It's going to be fine.
You're already, how much at this point when you're already starting to get the oh God, I hope this goes good. How much are you already invested?
How much am I
financially?
In?
Yeah.
$3
grand.
Grand. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're like, this has gotta fucking work.
And I'm on the hook with one other investor. So somebody splitting it with me. Right. Okay. But again, I've had this track record of everybody's made money.
Yeah.
So why would this be any different, right?
Exactly.
Whoever
Eddie Jayy.
Nobody fails. And so we got the guy who's in charge of the marijuana side of it, right? Who's been doing these events. And he's been promoting it pretty heavily, because that's what it was hinging on, was we need all these people to show up to justify the vendors who've been paying for slots and they'll pay a small little, cover at the door, and that was where we were going to make the majority of our money. The day of the event, the owner, who I'm sure was like fresh off of like a couple bumps, was like, "Oh, by the way, we don't have a liquor license, so you can't sell liquor here." And
day of,
but part of, again, me being young and dumb, he kind of like strong armed me on some like, we're not going to give you half your deposit back if you pull out. And I was like, well, I need all this money. Like, I can't, I'm broke. I need this to pay my rent. So, so I'm like, fuck it. We'll just figure it out. Maybe we'll just like sell booze like out of the trunk, like these guys are high. They'll drink whatever. Who knows? So event starts and nobody is showing up. And I'm talking to the promoter on the marijuana side, and I'm like, hey man, where's everybody at? Where's everybody at? Where's everybody? He's like, they're coming. There's another event. It's a big event. We've been cross promoting it there. They're going to come from there to here. They'll be here in a couple hours. Don't worry about it. It's great. Don't worry about it. It's great. Don't worry about it. It's great. Meanwhile, the owner is bringing people, these random people, and like these party buses of people are just showing up, and not like party buses of like people like in our demographic, like old 60, 70-year-old like women in like sequins dresses, like old school Vegas, are like showing up, and he's like escorting them in. One of them's like a bridal party. They have a cake for them and all these other things. And I go up, I go, hey, what's going on? We fucking rented your room. Who the fuck are these people? And he's like, well, I'm the owner. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And I go, this is my venue. I rented it out for the night. No, you. So we get into this like heated shouting match. And again, he's super high.
And by the way, as you're arguing with him, excuse me, you at this point, that he's mafia connections, or don't know? You do?
Well, I've been hearing about it from his staff, because he had these like super like Dozier type people that were like probably like former addicts or still like current addicts, or like his groundskeepers.
Okay.
And some of them seemed like they might be homeless, and like it just was turning into this whole like weird thing. And I'm hearing like from these guys, like, oh, Gary and blah, blah, blah. And Gary Hart's his name, by the way. Fuck him if he ever hears this story. So we're in this shouting match, and he turns to the security that I have paid for and says, get this guy the fuck off the property. And they're like looking at me like, we work for you.
You're right.
And I just kind of laugh, and I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Like, and my other buddies, I have a bit of a temper, and at this point I had never really been. You've heard, we've told stories about the comedy club side, but
can I before you go on?
Yeah.
Because I think it might help. Also, can I say what you do?
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
So Ed's what is your title officially?
Operations manager.
He's the operations manager at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club. So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because
it's
so you know how to operate a venue. You know the inner workings.
I know.
So you're not just an artist that.
I'm not some diva artist that just is like, I deserve the work. Like, we run a very tight showroom.
Yes.
And it's one of the best in the country.
100%.
And
yeah.
So like, and the showrooms that I'd worked with prior to that in terms of Fourwalling had all kind of been up to that same standard. So I'm like, I've worked with other people who know how to run showrooms. We run a great showroom. So like, this is ridiculous. Like, who are the fucking Harlem Globetrotters in here that are fucking, eating cake, eating it, like, what's going on over here? You got like, literally, it's like the Golden Girls are coming in their sequence dresses in the middle of this like marijuana hip hop show.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so,
I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. So he tells security, get him the fuck out of there. It's
he tells my security.
Yeah. It's
get him the fuck off property. Yeah. And I go, I'm not going anywhere. And he goes, I'm calling the police. I go, call whoever the fuck you want. I'm not going anywhere, dude. And then he gets in my face. And he's about a foot shorter than me, so I try not to like throw my weight around with people that, like, I'm pretty, like, how tall are you? You're 6'7"?
6'8".
6'8". I'm 6'4". I'm 250. Like, I'm not, you got to be careful when you're a sizable individual. You don't want to like come across like you're going to try to size somebody up. It just feels like a dick move. But he got in my face about it. And then he had like his little homeless dozers that all came out of the woodwork, and they started getting in my face. And I told him right there, I go, we were standing in front of his pool. He had this old pool that hasn't been swam in since Elvis lived in this mansion, right?
Yeah.
And I go, if you don't get out of my face, I'm going to knock you out and throw you into your own pool. And I looked at his buddy and I go, I'm going to make you go get him out of it. And that's when my buddies came in and they were like, yo, let's just get out of here. Like, let's, and I'm like, no, fuck it. We can't. Like, we're going to lose all this money.
Wait, who's these bitch ass friends that weren't like, yeah?
No,
yeah.
they have my back for sure, because it would have been all bad. So I cool off. The other promoter pulls the owner to the side and is like, he was a little bit older than me. Yeah, he was kind of the money behind all of it. So he's like, you just go away. He had done business with him in the past. He was like, just go away, leave us alone, let us do our event. So the owner disappears. So we're like, all right, cool. As soon as all of that calms down, the weed promoter guy who's supposed to tie everything in and bring this whole crowd comes up to me in a panic. And he goes, the cops just rolled the event that everybody was coming from. And I go, oh my, what does that mean, Dale?
Yeah.
And he goes, it means that they're not coming anymore. And it was like 250 people. He was claiming anywhere between 200 and 400 people were going to be coming. And I was like, so 250 people are not coming anymore? He's like, no, they're not coming anymore. He's like, but you got people coming, right? I was like, yeah, they're all here. They're all here. It's just, it's the the 100 people that I said I was going to bring are all here. So we lost our ass that night. And and it was actually one of the first times that like I love being on stage. It's like really it's an escaping thing for me.
Right.
It was one of the only times that I was just like, I don't even want to go up. Like, I don't want to go up. I don't want to show my face in front of all these people, like that because I, you know,
oh
it
yeah,
was like my first time like washing out at an event. And even my buddies who'd made money with me were like doing that like pat on the back thing. We're like, hey man, you can't win them all.
God,
and I was just
damn
like,
it.
fuck, bro. Yeah, you can, because I'm gonna still pay you even though I can't pay my rent. Like, I'm gonna pay you what I owe you. And
dude,
yeah, it was all bad.
I was gonna say, I as a comic, so when I was in Washington, I had, and I did it in Boston too. I had a show called True Story and dude, I hate producing shows. I fucking hate it because it's all I'm doing literally until they're announcing me to walk on stage. Up until that point, all I'm doing is stressing. Dude, I'm like, even like as they're saying my name, I'm still looking at numbers. Are people still coming in?
Which is the part that I hate the most, because you want to focus on the craft. You don't like that's it takes the fun out of the art when you're focused on the promotion side of it.
Dude, that's what just when I did my special taping in St. Louis, I'm told on Thursday, oh, you know, it doesn't look like, you know, these shows are going to be very packed. And I'm like, great. So now
one more thing I got to worry about.
I'm like,
now I got to be a street team 4 hours before my show.
Yeah. And leading up to it all, I kept saying like, whatever it costs, I'm going to get everything covered so that all I have to worry about is just being a comic. And then I get there and no, that's going to be the last thing you get to focus on. Okay. So
now we've lost money, right? I know we're losing money.
First, let's talk about the performance.
Okay. Oh yeah.
How many people are there when you go take the stage?
By the time I take the stage, 30.
Okay.
And they're all people that I know.
Okay.
But this mansion can fit like 1,000 people. So it would be like being in a giant ballroom with like 30 people that are just like standing there. The vendors are packing up and leaving while I'm on stage. Like, it was bad. No. I had so many walkouts, but it was and then I'm forgetting lyrics because my head's not in it. And the whole time all I'm thinking about is like, should I just jump into this pool? Like, they were like really big about nobody goes in the pool. Elvis was the last person. Like, that was part of like their thing. It was like this allure of like, this is like an old school thing. It was like this sacred thing. He kept saying when we first rented out the venue, like, just don't do anything with the pool. You can't do anything with the pool. So I was like, fuck, I might just jump in this pool, which I didn't do.
God damn it.
Because the investor guy still had a relationship with him. And I was like, I need to find a way to salvage the money that I owe. this investor guy. But part of me was like, well, I got to make some of this money back. And a friend of mine had made he had made this, it's called Canaline. So it was like cannabis. It was like imitator lean with cannabis. You pour it in soda, it gets you high. I've never sold drugs. I don't know how to sell drugs.
Right.
But I was like, I'm gonna have to sell drugs tonight to these so that I can pay my rent and make this up. So I'm at this event like, this Canaline's good. You guys want to try? And they're like, what? We're all stoners. Like nobody gives a fuck about your Canaline. Like it was like, oh, okay, for sure.
You're like trying to use their lingo.
Yeah. So I bomb on stage, I bomb on promotions, and I bomb being a drug dealer, like all in one night. It was really fucking bad. But yeah, long story. I mean, we figured the money out later. I made that back up at different events down the road that ended up bringing me even. But and then I found out like 2 years later that the guy went bankrupt and lost the mansion, which made me really happy.
Good. Fuck, Gary Hart, really is that his name?
Gary Hart was his name.
Wasn't that a politician named Gary Hart?
I hope that guy wasn't in politics. The best part was him and his brothers were in a gospel band as like kids. They had like hits on Christian radio. I'm like, this guy is the biggest piece of shit I've ever met.
I wish he would have been like, hey man, you think I could go up and do a song or two? I got some old gospel Christian rap I can do. So, oh god, dude, I'm just thinking about it. It like makes my skin crawl because I've been in that position where you're like, okay, I'm gonna lose my ass on this, but like you said, I still got to pay all my friends or all the artists because we're stand-up guys. That's what we're gonna do. You're taken care of, and then I'll figure out the other shit on my
Your
end.
reputation's everything.
Exactly, and so you're thinking of all this shit, and you, like you said, it's the whole reason you're doing this now becomes like the last thing, your art, you're like, and so I can totally. So when you were doing it and you're forgetting your lyrics, are you just like, fuck, or like, I mean, I
think at one point I had said, nobody here knows the lyrics to this song anyway. So like a single person in here knows who I am. They don't give a fuck about these lyrics. Like nobody knows these lyrics because I clearly like fucked them up.
Yeah, but
I was like, nobody here knows the lyrics to this song. So
how did you end with Gary? What was the last thing you guys said?
I think I flipped him off as we walked out. Told him to go fuck himself. He was across the mansion. Like he was like they would like the investor who knew him like was able to get him to like stay away from the whole thing, but he was like up on like a balcony terrace like watching us, like some rear window shit, and I think I flipped him off and yelled to go fuck himself as we left.
So we whenever somebody tells one of their bombing stories, I always ask like, what would you have done differently? Or what did you learn from this? Either one or both?
Well, the first thing was to have not ignored the signs leading up to it. Like he was such a bad businessman from the jump, and I got intoxicated by the idea of how much money I could potentially make because everybody's gassing it up like, oh, we're gonna make 10 grand each tonight, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, let's do it. And so, but he was such a terrible businessman and such an asshole from the jump that I was like, I shouldn't be doing business with this guy. That's like what all my gut instincts told me. Like, this is going to be a nightmare. This guy is going to be a problem. I should have trusted my gut in terms of the dealing with the owner. Like immediately from the rip, I should have just known. Like I knew in my gut that he was no good. That it was just bad business. The way he had like these big anger problems and was like blowing up on people in like the pre-meetings. I just got so intoxicated with the money and I was so broke that I was like, I need the money. Which guess what? You never really need the money. Like there's other ways to get it. It's not worth like to me. It wasn't worth because it made me. I lost even more money, and then I had to go get more money, and I was still broke. So
fuck, dude. And
I was just broke longer.
And your buddies, like, dude, that because I had a bunch of people. I asked you if you wanted to come out to it, but I had a bunch of people come out to that taping, and luckily, it was the best audience I could ask for, and one of my best performances I think I've ever had. But leading up to it, I'm like, did everybody just fly out here and they're going to be the whole audience, like
Right.
6 people? You're like, oh,
I hated
fuck.
that. Yeah, that part sucked too, because it's like, oh, cool, we could have done this in my backyard.
We could have done it in my cupboard.
Yeah, with the 3 of you guys.
So for all the whoever's listening or watching this, what is your give all your social media shit, your website, and then anything you want to plug?
Eddie Jayy Music, EDDIE JAYY Music. That's me on all social platforms. I got a podcast I just started called I Usually Headline. That one launches here probably in the next month. We got a little episode with Big Irish on there.
That's good, right?
So that one will be coming out. Keep an eye out for that. Eating food, talking shit, green room talk with comics. It's fun. It's
awesome.
been fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. Dope. And you're doing that thing, the 3 things, right? The headliner.
Headliner, feature MC with different categories. Yeah, it's been fun, and it's cool because every other guy that's done it since you all is like, man, this is a great segment, but it's hard as shit.
Dude, I'm telling you, yeah. Check that out. I Usually Headline. It's coming out next month. Eddie Jayy Music. That's EDDIE JAYY.
Mm-hmm.
I got it. You're a professional.
You're a professional. You're good at this.
Do you have any shows or anything you got coming up?
No hip hop shows coming up.
Okay.
But I do have some music coming out very, very soon. So.
Oh shit! And I'll post it too when you send it out. So that was Eddie Jayy's fucking bombing story, and Ed's gonna be, sorry, Wrinkles, very professional. Wrinkles is fucking with the green screen.
He's the John Giuliano of this episode.
Yeah, Ed's gonna come back because he has another bombing story. So that'll be on a later episode. But until then, hey Ed, who loves you?
Thanks for the flowers, bro.
Always love you, brother. Thanks,
love
man.
You too, bro. Yes, sir.
Fucking big.